In the beating heart of the city, where neon lights never fade and the hum of traffic is a constant pulse, stands the Blackwood Apartments. It is an architectural fossil, a 1920s Gothic relic crumbling under the weight of a secret. Most people walk past its soot-stained bricks without a second glance, but the residents of the surrounding skyscrapers know better. They don't look at the third floor. They avoid the faint smell of ozone and rotting lilies that leaks from under one specific door, room 307. The stories weren't enough to scare off Marcus. He was a cynical journalist. He didn't believe in ghosts. He believed in cheap rent. He moved in on a Tuesday. By Wednesday morning, he was found shivering in a 24-hour diner 3 blocks away, refusing to go back for his things. Marcus later wrote about the 3:17 shift. At exactly 3:17 a.m., the city's background noise vanishes. It is replaced by a silence so heavy it feels like physical pressure. He described waking up paralyzed. He watched the mattress visibly depress next to his legs, as if someone heavy had sat down just to watch him sleep. He couldn't scream. He couldn't blink. He just watched the shadows in the corner of the ceiling detach themselves and drift toward him like ink in water. Then came Sarah. She was a student, desperate, broke. She ignored the dampness of the walls for 3 nights. Then, the footsteps started. Heavy, dragging, step, slide, step. Room 307 is on the top floor. Above her was nothing but a flat roof, locked behind a rusted steel grate that hadn't been opened in a decade. On her final night, the knocking began. 3 slow, rhythmic strikes on the front door. Sarah looked through the peephole. The hallway was empty, but when she turned back to her bed, the knocking started again. This time, it was coming from inside her bedroom closet. The wood didn't just rattle, it bowed outwards as if something massive was trying to punch its way into her reality. The owner, Mr. Vance, decided to prove them wrong. He was a man of logic and shotguns. He spent a Friday night in 307, armed with a flashlight and a digital clock. At 3:10 a.m., the temperature plummeted. His breath misted in the air. At 3:15, the red numbers on his clock began to glitch, melting into symbols that looked like ancient, weeping eyes. Then the lights cut out. Total, sensory-depriving blackness. In the silence, Vance heard a wet, sliding sound. Something was dragging itself across the hardwood floor, coming directly toward his chair. Vance fired. In the split second of the muzzle flash, he saw it. A figure with no face, a body made of thousands of writhing black fibers. When the police arrived, the room was empty. Vance was gone. They found him 3 days later. A maintenance worker noticed a human-shaped bulge behind the wallpaper in the hallway. Vance had been fused into the wall, his face a permanent screaming mask of plaster and brick. To understand 307, you must look back to 1922. The architect, Elias Thorne, was a man obsessed with living geometry. During construction, his young daughter went missing. Decades later, workers found a hollow space behind the brickwork. It wasn't a room, it was a tomb. Inside were small, dusty toys and bones that had been woven into the iron supports of the building. Thorne hadn't just built an apartment, he had built a rib cage. He sacrificed his own blood to give the building a soul, a hungry, lonely soul that requires residents to keep its heart beating. Today, the room is boarded up with heavy oak planks, but the boards don't stop the sounds. Neighbors still hear the scratching, deep, gouging sounds that echo through the vents at 3:17 a.m. If you ever see a beautiful Gothic room for a price that seems too good to be true, look at the door number. If it says 307, walk away. Don't look back. Because some doors are better left locked. And if you hear 3 knocks while listening to this, don't check the door. It's already too late.